Welcome to Primetime Analysis. I am your host, Victor Onyango. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining us and subscribing to our channel. For those who have not subscribed, please take a second or two to subscribe and join us in growing together. Now, if you've been a keen political observer in Kenya, you will note that there are many activities that are going on politically, especially when it comes to government undertaking its responsibilities and the opposition side pushing its agenda. But one of the critical components of any political engagement is the desire for political leaders to continuously engage their people and always remain in the minds of their people. One notable politician, Hassan Joho, the former governor of Mombasa County, has been missing in the scene. And many have questioned whether he has decamped from ODM and Azimio for that matter. And in some quarters, it was also said that Hassan Joho decamped from ODM and formed his own political party. But the last statement he made publicly is when a journalist asked him whether he supports the demonstrations and all those things. He said that he is currently on a sick leave, and when he recovers, hopefully, he will join Raila Odinga and he will support the cause that the Azimio group are pushing. But let's remember that the other day, on Tuesday at Kamkunji, Raila Odinga gave Kenyans a date with their destiny. And he said that on 7th July, which is Saba Saba, he will be calling Kenyans to go out and have a grand march of demonstrations. In this analysis, I want us to look at the 4 reasons why Hassan Joho must get out and join Azimio in the coming Saba Saba demonstrations. I am saying this because I have looked critically at the political landscape and have done my permutations, looking at possible candidates in 2027 and the possible winning strategy that Azimio and Kenya Kwanza can deploy to have control of their groups. And in this analysis, I will look at the reason why Hassan Joho must get out and join Kenyans in Saba Saba demonstrations. And I will also try to tell you the position Hassan Joho will play when it comes to 2027 elections. Now, before we look at the reasons why I think Hassan Joho should get back to Azimio political activities, I want us to have one assumption. And the assumption is that Raila Odinga will not run in 2027. When that happens, we will have a different ballgame. Because when Raila Odinga exits the scene, there are some people who should rise up. Now here, I want us to look at some of the potential candidates that might run. First of all, I want us to have it also as an assumption that Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be the presidential candidate for Azimio. And therefore, we are going to search for the most probable deputy president candidate. You know that right now, ODM remains the largest party in Azimio. And therefore, in the event that it will cede the presidential position to Wiper, which is the second largest, I think, if not second, is the third, then it will mean that Azimio or ODM in that case will call for some concessions. And this concession is that it will need to put a deputy presidential candidate for that. And for me, I believe we know that right now we have 2 deputy party leaders for ODM, and that is Hassan Joho, and the other one is Wycliffe Oparanya. Now look at these 2. Who do you think can be a formidable deputy president candidate? Let me know down in the comment section. But also remember that other Azimio affiliate parties are also there. We have Eugene Omalwa, who has also served as a CS for defense. He would want to also be pushed higher, and he would call to be a deputy president. We also have Wajakoya. We have Martha Karua. But then again, we remember that we are searching for a winning formula. So, according to my permutations, I have looked at each of these candidates critically, and I am convinced that the best person to serve as a deputy president candidate for Azimio, in the event that Raila Odinga is not running and Kalonzo Musyoka will be the presidential candidate, then Hassan Ali Joho fits the bill. But I want us to look at the reasons why I say he first must get back to political activities of Azimio, and then he is the most qualified person to be the deputy president candidate for Azimio. First of all, Hassan Ali Joho is eloquent. He has a way in which he can communicate to Kenyans directly. You know, one of the arts of political psychology is understanding how to speak to the hearts of the populace. And Hassan Ali Joho is the only politician in Azimio, apart from Raila Odinga, who can give William Ruto a run for his money in terms of pushing propaganda, in terms of pushing populist politics, in terms of messaging in such a way that the common man can understand what he says. One of the key areas that Azimio has failed in, even with the glaring mistakes that Kenya Kwanza is committing, is the failure to have a clear communicator, someone who can clearly communicate to people and convince and incite them against this regime. Hassan Ali Joho, I think even Raila Odinga acknowledges this, that he really misses Hassan Ali Joho in his political activities. So for me, if you ask me, I believe through his political eloquence, vibrance, and ability to connect with the people, you will realize that he forms the best person. He is the best person to become the deputy presidential candidate. And therefore, this calls for him to start engaging with the people at these times when people are crying about high cost of living. He should get out. And I call that on the day with destiny, which is 7th of July, Saba Saba, Hassan Ali Joho should be convinced to get back to the trenches, just as Raila Odinga had told us the other day. The second reason why I think Hassan Ali Joho fits to be the deputy president candidate is his financial muscle. Hassan Ali Joho is fairly a rich person. And if you understand Kenyan politics, you'll know without money, you can be nobody, especially when it comes to power positions. Look at UDA, how they chose Rigathi Gachagua. One, among other qualifications, is that Rigathi Gachagua was a man of means, and therefore he could fund political activities without depending on other individuals. So when you have Hassan Ali Joho political muscle with you and his eloquent political communication strategies, you will be having a good and a strong candidate with you. And therefore, I believe, in fact, even if you look at his international connections with the oil-rich countries like Dubai, Qatar, and all other Arab countries, he is someone who has deep connections with those regions. And therefore, he has the ability to bring in some funding that can be used to fuel campaigns in this country. And therefore, in any case, Azimio is considering a serious political candidate to be a deputy president, is, I believe, I can give them Ali Hassan Joho to be their deputy president candidate. The third reason why I think Hassan Ali Joho fits the bill is that Hassan Ali Joho has a wide following, not only in Mombasa. During 2022 elections, Hassan Ali Joho could come to Nairobi, hold a rally, and that rally get filled. I dare Kalonzo Musyoka, Wajakoya, Oparanya, Eugene Omalwa, if they could call for a political rally anywhere in Nairobi, and then they get the kind of people that Hassan Ali Joho gets, In politics, one of the keys that people use to win political seats is the ability to control and pull crowds. While it does not directly translate into votes, it plays into perception of people to understand that this person has some political grip over his status and anything that he wants to do. And therefore, because of the nationwide following that Hassan Ali Joho has, I believe he is someone who can be considered to be a deputy presidential candidate. You will also realize that Hassan Ali Joho, he is not a polarizing candidate. He's kind of neutral, and anybody can easily be convinced to vote him. He is not a hardliner. Another thing that also brings him in, he is a Muslim candidate. Being that Kenya has had all Christian presidents, it would also be a good diversity when Kenya has a Muslim deputy president or a president for that matter. And therefore, I believe with these things working for Hassan Ali Joho, he has what it takes to be the deputy president candidate for Azimio. With this in mind, I am calling for Azimio and Hassan Ali Joho, wherever he is, let him get down to work and engage in serious Azimio political activities. He will lift the stature of ODM party and he will also lift the stature of his political career. Remember, being that Azimio lost in 2022 elections, that is not the end of politics. And therefore, he should be convinced to get back to serious political activities, especially on this Saba Saba day. The final reason why I think Hassan Ali Joho fits the bill to becoming deputy presidential candidate for Azimio is that Kenyan political status keeps changing all the time. And in our country today, it is not a country of good men at all times. If it is a serious election like presidential election, you should not be a good person because good men do not win anything. In our election, you must be bad. You must act and enjoy and use some aspect of Machiavellian political theory where you deceive some people. You use treachery and you be skillful on how you implement your strategies. Hassan Ali Joho understands the current political landscape. And this is what I feel Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka may be falling on. Because if you look at the kind of parliamentarians we have, you will note that these are deal makers. And you remember Matiang'i warning us that the kind of parliament that we will have next, it will be full of drug lords, it will be full of wash guys, it will be full of incompetent people. But I'm not talking about their incompetence or what they do per se, but that badness, that political badness that can make you do anything to get what you want. I believe Hassan Ali Joho is a go-getter and he's someone who can do what it takes without thinking twice to get what is rightfully his. And this is why William Ruto has been succeeding. He does not have limits of what he can do and what he cannot do. He has said that morality does not control politics. And that is why I believe with Hassan Ali Joho on the Kalonzo or Azimio ticket, they have a better shot at presidency compared to any other candidate. Because look at this. William Ruto is really planning himself well. And he has known one thing, that in terms of propaganda, that area he beats Azimio flat-footed. And therefore, with that on his side, state on his side, and other people working together to support him, he has an easier chance. And therefore, if Azimio wants to have a better shot at this presidency, Hassan Ali Joho must come out of his political holiday, get back to work, and on 7th or on Saba Saba, Let us see him guiding Kenyans on the way they should be demonstrating. And in fact, for me, I believe it is time Raila Odinga told Hassan Joho to take up that position, especially when it comes to political leadership of Azimio and ODM for that matter. Because with him supported with Raila Odinga, they can do much together. I've looked at Oparanya and I'm not convinced Oparanya has everything that it takes. He is qualified and he can work well, but looking at our current political landscape, it requires people with some street skills, someone mwenye anaweza enda huko chini akapigana vizuri, not someone who is reserved, who can call for dialogue, who can talk, who can tone things down. Go full throttle the way William Ruto did to Uhuru Kenyatta. You remember the day William Ruto told Uhuru Kenyatta not to target his children, not to kill his children. He knew that was not the truth, but he was speaking to the emotion of his people. That is what a real politician in Kenyan case needs to be. So that is my take. I don't know what you think. Do you think Hassan Ali Joho has a space when it comes to 2027 elections? And do you think him participating in a Saba Saba demonstrations will help to boost his political capital and standing in our country? Let's talk down in the comment section. But I believe, if you ask me, Hassan Ali Joho is a gem that Azimio is seriously missing. And if he gets down to work, he will be able to project and uplift Azimio into heights it has never been before. That's my take. Let's meet in our next analysis. And please, if you have watched up till the end, we thank you for your time. Please, if you have not subscribed, take a second or two to subscribe and like our video. Thank you. May God bless you.